Former Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now let's talk a little bit of 168-pound division. What's going on? One thing to start off is a sad note. The opponent from David Morrell over the weekend, Adios Yabaslili. He's in a coma right now, induced coma because he had bleeding on the brain. So, it puts a lot of things in perspective. Why these fighters need to get paid and, and understand when they tell you they put their life on the line when they go in the ring, then, this is literal, right? So, it puts everything in perspective. So let's get into a few news, right? Here's something that's about to happen. Canelo Alvarez, the former face of boxing, or most people eyes still the face of boxing, but a damn good fighter. Canelo Alvarez, his promoter is Eddie Hearn. Now I'm telling you that him and his promoter will be in a feud very soon, like imminent, right? This is going to happen. And I'm going to tell you where I'm going with this. Canelo Alvarez was promoted by Oscar De La Hoya a long time. And Oscar De La Hoya did a lot of things with Canelo, maneuvering him around Demetrius Andrade, for example, when Canelo was Demetrius Andrade mandatory at 154 pounds, and even at 160, keeping him away from that. I think even at the time when the franchise title came, and 154 pounds, when Canelo couldn't make it no more, he was allowed to make 155 pounds and fight there for a while. Just a lot of things and a lot of fighters that Oscar De La Hoya was trying to move Canelo around and did things for him. Matter of fact, he didn't even want Canelo to fight Lara. That was Canelo. I got to give Canelo that. He did at least Lara because Lara kept coming on stage. But the bottom line is when their relationship just totally cracked is after Oscar De La Hoya, after a while, long time, just said, well, if Canelo wants to be great, he's going to have to beat Demetrius Andrade and Jamal Charlo. Now, he didn't say that when they were prospects. Everybody's the same age, been champions the same amount of time in the same weight divisions. So, at some point, Oscar De La Hoya said that. After that, their relationship wasn't the same, right? Because he came out with that. So, Eddie Hearn right now is saying things that I think is going to irk Canelo. One of which is Canelo will have no problem fighting the Benavidez-Eddie winner, even if Benavidez wins, right? I don't think Canelo's going to do that. I think that's going to irk Canelo, right? It's going to irk him that he's saying that in public because it puts a little pressure on him to do so if Benavidez, who will be the favorite in that fight, wins. Here's another thing I think that's going to irk Canelo, is that Canelo definitely wants the Bivol rematch. I don't think Canelo's going to want to do that. No, especially at 168 pounds, which a lot of people are saying, Canelo 175, he's a little too big for Canelo. They're going with that narrative, that Bivol's too big for Canelo, even though we all know that Bivol, first of all, offered to fight him at 168 before that fight. Canelo was the one who wanted 175. Make sure that's clear. Now, Bivol's 175, he probably didn't want to move down, but all of a sudden the narrative is Bivol's too big, and Canelo was picking on him. Canelo had big options at 168 pounds, but he was daring to be great. Well, I think that when Eddie Hearn comes out saying that Canelo will want to fight him at 168, I don't think Canelo's going to want that. And I'm telling you guys, because the simple fact, it ain't no excuses if you lose that fight. One. Two, you ain't got no more belts if you lose that fight. Those are two reasons why I don't think that is going to happen. And another thing is, make sure this is clear. They're messing up, Eddie Hearn is messing up Canelo's next option, which Canelo is probably focused on. I don't know this. It's just I follow how Canelo rolls. He's going to want John Ryder, okay? And if you keep talking about Benavidez, he'll want to fight, right? He wants the Bivol rematch at 175 or 168. You're taking away who John Ryder is. John Ryder is a guy that Canelo knows he can beat. And he fought Daniel Jacobs, right? And actually lost to Daniel Jacobs, but got a win, a split decision win over Daniel Jacobs. And that was a robbery. Anybody watch that fight would tell you that was a robbery. And I said it then. The reason why is because Canelo will fight John Ryder. And they didn't even do anything. And what irked me the most at the time is when Daniel Jacobs got robbed. It was a week before Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor fought. And Catterall, had a good account of himself, and everybody was outraged. They have to do that fight over. And I'm telling you, Daniel Jacobs did better against John Ryder than Jack Catterall did against Josh Taylor. It was only a week apart, and no outrage for Daniel Jacobs. And it was one commentator that said Daniel Jacobs got robbed, right? And I can't think of my man's name, also a fighter. It hit me. Good fighter, but lost about 12, 13 times, but still good. I forget him. But anyway, he's the only one that said that. Everybody else kind of just ignored it. That was a bad decision. But the reason was for Canelo. And now your boy Eddie Hearn is talking too much about other things except John Ryder. Now, John Ryder versus Daniel Jacobs, mind you guys, was a final eliminator in 168 pounds for the WBA, right? But then you have David Morrell, who's the regular champion, who we all know over the weekend. We just don't want to talk about it because somebody got hurt in that fight. But David Morrell is exceptional and been the regular champion for a long time, way before Ryder and when Jacobs fought, right? But they're not forcing Canelo to fight him. But Canelo has a way out by saying John Ryder. And here's something to note. While Canelo is waiting for May, John Ryder could be saying to David Morrell, hey, let us clear that. I'm the final eliminator and you're the regular champion stuff, and we fight. But no, they won't want that because, they know who's going to come out of that fight, and Canelo would then be forced even worse to fight David Morrell. So you keep your eyes on this stuff like this because they're trying to preserve him for John Ryder, for Canelo. And that's going to irk Canelo that Eddie Hearn's not talking about anything. Now remember, Canelo is like, make sure that you understand something. Sometimes we watch Frankenstein. And I remember when I was young, I thought Frankenstein was the monster. I always thought that, until after I got a little age on me, found out. It's the doctor. The monster's not Frankenstein. We create the monsters. Canelo's like, to look at the things we allow Canelo to say, right? Eddie Hearn is in an interview right now saying, well, Benavidez just doesn't excite Canelo. He's allowed to say that. Benavidez doesn't excite Canelo. Hey, we've seen Canelo fight Uderum. What was exciting about that? What excited him to do that? We've seen him want to fight Macaboo. Well, really? That's exciting? Callum Smith, Amir Khan. What was it that excited him to fight Amir Khan? What do way smaller with no punch power or with no and no chin? What made him want to fight him? Right? But I don't want to do that to his whole resume. But what made him want to fight him? What made him excited about fighting Golovkin for a third time instead of an Andrade or Charlo, stuff that fills up arenas and gets a whole lot of money? Nothing. So he's allowed to say that doesn't excite him. We allowed him to say to one of the best fighters in the world, Demetrius Andrade, he's a horrible fighter. A guy, he calls him a horrible fighter, and that fighter's better than you, right? And everybody allowed him to get away with that, right? Those kind of things, right? And the latest one is, I'm not fighting no Mexicans. We know what that is. So, but if he gets away with that, then he will continue to act that way. So it's not really Canelo, it's the people who enable him. He wouldn't have been this way. People go as far as you let them. If people would have said, oh man, you ain't gonna call Demetrius Andrade a horrible fighter. He's better than anybody, and literally anybody on your resume. If you came out and fight Demetrius Andrade, and I'll tell you about this, about any of the Negro League fighters that I always talk about, if the opponent walks out, and Demetrius Andrade is walking out the first time against Canelo, they're going to say, Canelo, this could possibly be Canelo's hardest fight to date. And the other commentator is going to say, nope, it is his hardest fight to date. Now, I've been saying that for years. Now that you got Bivol in there, maybe people could say, well, Bivol might be as hard as Andrade. But nobody else, right? So that's the point there. But anyway, the media, you got to keep your eye on them because the media say, hey, well, people don't know this person. Like, people don't know Benavidez. Well, he's a mandatory. People didn't know Alvarez Yildirim. People didn't even know Callum Smith, even though he won a Super 6 tournament. Right? Barely people know Billy Joe Saunders. And you would take Billy Joe Saunders, even though he was doped for the Andrade fight and did all kind of stuff on the internet, which got him suspended. So he was suspended for doping and suspended for acting a fool in the internet. Right? But we waited on him instead of fighting the guy who wasn't doped and who was there ready to fight for undisputed in 40 million, and that would be Demetrius Andrade. So here's the bottom line. We know how Canelo is. Canelo has developed into what he is now, right? Some would say, you know, that it's okay, but it's not, right? And Eddie Hearn out here talking, because Eddie Hearn talks a lot. He's saying these things about Canelo. Now remember, I'm just saying, he said it's no problem with the Benavidez versus Scallop Plant winner, Benavidez. He wants the rematch at 175 or 168 with Bivol, right? And he ain't mentioning John Ryder. Those are reasons why Canelo and Eddie Hearn will be in a feud very soon. I'm telling you now. Mark my words, in a few days we'll hear something. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.